All right, welcome to this explainer. Today we're tackling a massive challenge that, let's be honest, pretty much every single one of us has faced at some point. How do you actually cultivate ironclad discipline when that initial spark of motivation inevitably fades away? We've all been there, right? You get this sudden burst of energy, you decide you're going to completely change your life, and then a week later, you're back exactly where you started. Well, today we're going to show you exactly how to break that cycle and stop quitting halfway. To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at the story of a guy named Bois. Bois decided he was totally done relying on others, so he opened his own business, a little souvenir shop right at a train station. He sold the classics, vodka, matryoshkas, balalaikas, and he was actually pretty masterful at attracting foreign tourists with that authentic local spirit. But then, one day, Bois gets the opportunity of a lifetime. American clients are incredibly interested in his goods, and they're arriving in exactly 1 month for a massive, high-stakes business meeting. Bois is entirely on board. But there is one giant catch. He has to negotiate the whole thing in English. Okay, let's dive into this because it perfectly maps out a trap that almost all of us fall into. Burst starts out with the ferocity of a tiger. Day 1, boom, he memorizes 100 words. Day 2, 200 words. He is absolutely on fire. But just 1 week later, that tragic trajectory kicks in. He starts making excuses, you know the drill. Oh, the weather is bad today, or whatever. He hates himself for procrastinating, but he just cannot bring himself to study. So when the Americans finally arrive, he tries to just wing it with a half-baked presentation and a couple of memorized phrases. And yeah, it's a complete disaster. The Americans leave. Fast forward a whole year, and Bois is stuck in the exact same spot, having made literally zero progress. So what does our guy Bun do next? Well, like over 30 times before, he decides he's going to start a brand new life. And of course, he chooses January 1st to do it. Classic, right? He sits down, binges an absolute mountain of motivational videos, gets completely charged up with energy, and prepares to conquer the world. But this brings us to the core trap of our explainer today. Bun is making a fatal error here. He is completely mistaking fleeting motivation for actual, real discipline. The core paradigm shift: motivation versus discipline. First up, let's talk about motivation. The source material actually defines this perfectly. Motivation is essentially just an emotional charge. It's this biological high that might deeply inspire you for, say, a couple weeks. When you're running on pure motivation, your body is operating on sheer euphoria. I mean, you might be so obsessed with your new project that you literally forget to eat or sleep. But the harsh reality is that this state is entirely temporary. It vanishes just as abruptly and suddenly as it started. Now contrast that directly with discipline. Discipline isn't a feeling at all, it's a lifestyle. It's the steady, long-term capacity to consistently see your tasks through to the very end, regardless of how you happen to feel on any given Tuesday. It operates on a completely different, long-term horizon. It's meant for maintaining continuous progress and managing complex affairs without just completely burning yourself out in the first 2 weeks. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact difference when we put them head-to-head. You simply cannot run a successful life or business on that short-term emotional charge. Business leaders completely rely on discipline. To manage a company without constant fires and cash gaps, leaders have to use discipline to set KPIs, manage their time, and organize their teams. These are precisely the kinds of concepts championed on educational business channels like Mikhail Alister's. You need structure, guys, not just excitement. Actually, the source shares this absolutely hilarious yet incredibly accurate metaphor from a grandfather, and it honestly sums it up perfectly. He said, "Motivation is a magic kick. Discipline is kicks meticulously placed along the path." I love that. It makes the distinction so memorable. You don't need one massive, magical surge of energy at the starting line. No, you need a systematic, reliable series of small pushes to keep you moving forward when the path gets tough. Step 1. Mental preparation. So, mental preparation really means understanding that lacking willpower is actually kind of a myth. There are only firm decisions you choose to make and the ones you don't. But even with a firm decision, there are massive psychological pitfalls that can totally ruin our discipline. First, taking on way too much. Don't set 100 different goals at once. Work at your own pace. Second, expecting fast results. You just have to accept that noticeable, life-changing results usually take at least 6 months of steady work. And third, oh, this is a big one, talking too much about your plans. Remember Blas? He made the fatal mistake of telling everyone his grand plans in vivid detail. When you do this, your brain gets this premature hit of satisfaction. It falsely registers the task as already completed, which instantly kills your drive to actually do the real work. Step 2. Taking action. Let's move to and see how this builds. To overcome our brain's ancient instinct to basically fear difficult, unfamiliar tasks, we can use these 3 pragmatic hacks. 1. Divide your big goals. Take a massive monthly goal, break it down into weeks, and then strictly into days with hard deadlines. 2. Define your rewards. You need to create a sort of Pavlovian response for yourself. Did you read a chapter in English? Give yourself a proportional treat. 3. Limit distractions. You honestly probably don't realize how much time you waste doom scrolling. Use an actual alarm clock to strictly cut off your social media time. To make sure these actions actually stick, you need a system. Think about it like a business. Just as Boo's gang realized they needed a highly powerful CRM system to track their vast Matryoshka sales, analyze traffic, and ensure they never lost a single client to a competitor, you've got to be just as meticulous with yourself. You need the ultimate tracking tool for your personal progress. Whatever your goal is, you have to track your daily inputs relentlessly. Step 3. Maintaining momentum. So, the crucial point is, to keep momentum alive for the long haul, you can't be miserable. You literally have to find a way to love the grind. Because the absolute greatest danger to your discipline is actually what happens after you win. Let's say you hit your 6-month goal. Amazing, right? You feel a great sense of accomplishment and decide to take a long, well-deserved rest. But then, that rest drags on. Slowly, you abandon your routines entirely. Constructive habits are incredibly hard to build, but man, they are incredibly easy to lose, while destructive habits will just creep right back in overnight. To bring this whole thing full circle, our source material gives Boo's comedic hero's journey a rather, well, absurd ending. Fast forward to the futuristic year of 2077. Alada Granta finally comes equipped with a plasma gearbox, a resurrected Lenin is somehow running for political office, and Boo, through years of relentless systematic discipline, finally steps up and delivers his English business presentation perfectly. Okay, it's a hilarious exaggeration for sure, but the core point stands. True discipline outlasts absolutely everything. Which leaves us with one final incredibly important thought. Because resting after a victory is so dangerous to your momentum, you must always be looking ahead. So I'm going to leave you with this. What is your next goal once you achieve your current one? Have it ready, keep your discipline sharp, and never, ever stop moving forward.